last offseason pod, we can kind of put a bow on this. The Tigers made strategic choices at third base this year. I don't think, or this offseason, I should say. I don't think you can solve plug every roster hole. I don't think, I don't think you, as much as you like, it would have been nice for April, for August and September. I don't know if you necessarily needed to, if you believe in, speaking of Young, Jace Young, projections wise. AJ seemed pretty comfortable with. They used this term like 8 times on the podcast. Optionality. He seems pretty comfortable with the optionality of having Ibanez, and he brought up Ibanez like 3 or 4 times unprompted. This is a New York-based baseball podcast here. They're not bringing up Andy Ibanez. Like, what are your thoughts on Andy? AJ brought it up himself, which I think kind of speaks to his level of confidence in being able to use Ibanez and put him in situations where he's going to be most successful. And then Vierling will obviously be, all over the field as well there. So Jahan maybe fits into that. Like there's a litany of guys that will kind of see some time at third. But I think I feel better about the prospect of third base this season than what we saw last season. Because obviously everybody was hyped for Maton going into the season. Didn't work out that way. Scope is no longer on the team. Maton likely is going to be a kind of like a quad A player this season. Hope I'm not speaking out of turn there. And maybe Kreidler as a spot here or there. Like it just seems to me like it is what it is at this point, and I understand it. Even if you can disagree with it, I understand it. I know I've said that like 8 times this offseason, but this is like the last time before it gets actually real.
Yeah, that's where I'm at on it too. People still seem surprised when, there's another headline, oh, the Tigers aren't going to do anything at third base. Maybe you just haven't been in baseball mode and you're kind of catching up. I guess that's fine, but hey, we've been saying since the end of the season, Matt Vierling is probably your opening day starter at third base. I'm interested to see how the at-bats will actually get divided. And I asked AJ that at winter meetings. How are you going to split up at-bats at third base? And he said, I don't know. I don't think we have to know in December. But Vierling and Ibanez isn't a natural platoon. Both of them are right-handed hitters. You look at the numbers, Vierling is probably a little better against righty. I don't know. He has more power against righties, slightly higher at one base against lefties. Banez hits lefties probably better. So how are you going to actually divvy that up? And that's not even mentioning Zach McKinstry, who I think is going to get at bats there. He is a left-handed bat.
Yeah, I meant to
Probably
mention
a
him. Thank
little,
you.
I think a better defender at third than Ibanez. That's where the Colt Keith thing. I mean, Ibanez's best defensive position, at least last year, was second base. Scott Harris said he wouldn't rule out a little bit of Colt Keith playing some third too. So AJ used the term optionality. He knows I'm going to make fun of him for that all year. So we're going to see the mixing and the matching, and then the platooning, and then this and then that. And hey, it's fun to track. It's fun to follow. Um, this is going to be the reality of the Tigers this year. So just don't be surprised when this is what we see. I will dangle a carrot for the kind listeners out there though. This Matt Chapman thing, it's dragging on a while. Why hasn't he signed? It's starting to look like he might sign with the Giants. But what if something goes wrong there? What if suddenly you could have Matt Chapman on a 1 year pillow deal? Would you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm outside of somebody who is like a locker room cancer or whatever. I'm pretty much okay with anybody on a 1 year deal. Who cares?
Yeah, and so I would put the odds of this happening at less than 10%. But it's kind of fun to talk about, right? Give the guy whatever he wants for 1 year. You're not sacrificing the future. You don't even know for sure if Jace Young is going to be big league ready by the end of this year. That's kind of like you're hoping that that comes to fruition. But we saw, Colt Keith and Malloy didn't play in the big leagues last year when they were ready. So Scott can be like, oh, still need him to work on his defense. You add Matt Chapman to this lineup, this clubhouse. The left side of your infield, Javi Baez at short, Matt Chapman at third. You want to win the Central, man. Wouldn't that be fun? It's probably not going to happen. But
Well,
if this drags on into
yeah, I was about
spring
to say,
training, I don't
let
know.
let's just
I
have
don't
some fun
know.
here for a second in our last offseason pod. Let's just say this drags on a little bit, and you start thinking like Scott Harris and his own optionality. He's like, all right, well, I can bring this guy on like a 1 or 1+1 team option or something like that if you wanted to do that. Low risk. Maybe you can flip him. There's all of a sudden the gears start turning in that old Scotty H head of his, and on a certain level, it would make sense. And it is kind of weird that like I don't want to say weird, but it's you know I would have thought he would have signed by now. And,
Totally.
and he's
I
not
don't think the offers have been quite what he was looking for.
he's not
So,
the only one. There's some starting pitchers out there. Not that I think the Tigers are pretty happy with the guys they brought in rotation
so
wise.
if he's not pleased with his market, man, a pillow deal might not be the worst idea for him. I'm
It
just saying, just
it it,
saying.
it could it. I hope it happens because it gives us more things to talk about. I get to
Unfortunately, we'll be talking about Matt Vierling and Indy Ibanez and Zach McKinstry instead. But